The Southern Ohio Copperheads is a gem that is special to the community of Athens. If you have grown up in or around Athens, there's a pretty good chance you have attended a game, heard one on the radio, or seen some Copperheads gear while you're out and about. But this team hasn't been around forever, and in fact, they are quickly approaching their 20-year mark. Around the year 2000, many people affiliated with Athens and Ohio University realized that there was plenty of things for people to do during the school year, which is, of course, their most busy time. But what about during the summer? They had plenty of students sticking around to do classes, continuing to do work, and some participating in summer internships, and of course, the beloved Athens locals. This is when it was decided they wanted a family-friendly activity for many to come to. You can bring your grandparents, bring your kids. Anybody is welcome. The two biggest brains behind the operation was Dr. Andy Kreutzer, who was the director of sports administration program at Ohio University at the time, and Alan Geiger, who was Ohio University's assistant to the president. Their story really began when they began speaking with the university's head baseball coach, Joe Carbone. He, of course, was an advocate for America's favorite pastime. Carbone had knowledge of this league that was played in the summer all throughout Ohio, Michigan, and Indiana. Carbone even had his own hand in starting this league as well. It was called the Great Lakes Summer Collegiate League, and players from different colleges could join a team and get to continue playing baseball all throughout the summer.
Interesting, because it's been 22 years, I think. It was, I believe, the summer of '98 when we first started talking. And the conversation was started with President Glidden's staff, actually, who came to me and said, and Alan Geiger, who is part of our sort of long-standing founders group, was principally involved in this, that could we put a minor league baseball team in Athens so we'd have something for summer entertainment, because once school is out, the town just sort of dried up from entertainment, and yet you have all the faculty and staff and people that are in town that not directly associated with the university, however, that rely on the university for sort of the pulse of what goes on there. And so they called me and I said, well, that seemed like a great idea. And I actually spoke with Pat O'Connor, who's now the president of minor leagues, who was my classmate at OU at that time, was the VP. And he said, it's probably a good idea. However, let me give you the stadium requirements for having a minor league ball club. And he sent me the stadium requirements, and we started looking somewhere else, but would have meant completely redoing Bob Wren Stadium for over $1 million in '98, which was not going to happen. So Coach Carbone, Joe Carbone, who was the baseball coach, was in the conversation, and he actually said, there is a summer league, a college summer league, that I've coached in, and he coached in Columbus with a team that used to be there. And he said, would we want to consider that? So we contacted the Great Lakes League and asked them about the possibility of putting a team here. We have a stadium, we have facilities, we're going to be able to house players. There were questions on how to do that, and I think the solution we came up with is the best. But and the Great Lakes League said, well, yes, do you think are enough people there in the summer to come to games? Can you support a team?
Well, can they support a team? As most people know, Athens is a small community, so supporting a summer baseball team may be something they struggle with. They decided they wanted to have a test run. They brought in Team USA to face the Great Lakes Summer Collegiate All-Stars, and it was a smashing hit. Over 1,000 fans came out to support the event, and Carbone, Kreutzer, and Geiger believed Southern Ohio would and could support a baseball team.
So Coach Carbone, through his connections with the league, had them schedule, instead of their all-star game, the Great Lakes League's all-stars played the Team USA. So we advertised locally, brought the Great Lakes all-star team down, Team USA came in and we packed Bob Wren. Literally people standing. Every seat in the place was taken. It was so exciting that, we were off and running. That was it. It was, yes, this town will support a summer team.
One of the very last things the founders did after they decided they wanted to form a summer team was start the hunt for a team name. They took to the community, as they did with many other things. They ran a poll throughout the local elementary schools, and Daniel Gillespie, who was 10, and Lucas Ryan, who was 7, both suggested the name Copperheads. The name that came in second was Flying Squirrels, and it was a close race. This Name the Team contest is a really great example of how the Copperheads organization is very community-oriented. Right after the Name the Team contest, they called on local artist Tad Gallagher to create the logo that has since been used on merchandise, jerseys, caps, shirts, anything you can think of. He graced the Copperheads with his fine artwork for many years to come. One of the biggest concerns with starting this new league was lights at Bob Wren Stadium. It didn't have any, which meant night games were definitely out of the question. This made it hard for teams from farther away to travel and make it in for games. Coach Joe Carbone played a huge supporting role in the installment of lights. Although it was very expensive, it was definitely worth it.
If we didn't have lights, this wouldn't work. These people weren't going to come out and sit in the hot sun just to watch baseball, no matter how good it was. The first year we tried it without lights, and it just didn't work. Financially, we couldn't do it. So we knew we had to get lights. And at the time at Bob Wren Stadium, John Katowski, in his planning of the stadium, had put the conduit in so that if someday we would put lights up, it would be an easier thing. So thanks to John, with his foresight on the planning of the stadium, thanks to Dr. Geiger, and the three of us went out and got the private funding for the lights. So that was the key for it being successful. And of course, with that, having lights for the Copperheads, that was a real plus for our college baseball team to have lights, because now my baseball players, the student athletes, they didn't have to miss as much class. When we played at night, they go to class all day, then we had games at night. It worked out a lot better. It also helped when we schedule games for teams that come in, they didn't have to miss as much class either. They could leave at noon, go to their morning classes, get to Bob Wren Stadium in time to play the night game and get back. And so overall, that with the lights going into Bob Wren Stadium helped our situation with the High University Bobcats also.
One of the biggest focal points of the Copperheads is giving students opportunities, primarily those in the sports administration program. Almost every person you see working during a game is a student, and they are doing this for the experience, whether they are a graduate student or undergrad. It has been this way since the very beginning. The founders made sure it would be primarily student-run in order to simulate real job settings to prepare the students for future jobs. This really ties in with their slogan, community-owned, student-operated.
I also felt it would be a perfect place for the sports administration students to get together on some experience with baseball. A lot of the guys and gals really wanted to get involved in baseball. It would be a perfect setting for a college summer league baseball team.
Another one of the main focuses for the Southern Ohio Copperheads was that they didn't just represent Athens, but southeastern Ohio as a whole. A whole region stricken with poverty. A lot of individuals don't have the means to go see a baseball game other than the local high school or rec league down the street. The closest major league team was in Cincinnati, which was close to a 3-hour drive from Athens, and the closest minor league team was in Charleston, which was an hour and a half in the other direction. The formation of this new team was affordable, close, and fun. Athens being the poorest county in Ohio, there is a chance a lot of locals have never got to experience the atmosphere of a real pro game. That's what made this the perfect location. People were able to build relationships with the team, coaches, student staff, and players. The formation of this team breathed a new life into Athens in the summer and brought people together in more ways than one.
And the initial thought was, well, the Athens Copperheads, everybody stopped and said, no. Athens is, you look at southeastern Ohio, and Ohio University is a critical component, but sometimes it's sort of like Fort Apache. I live 10 miles out of town, and you've got rural southeastern Ohio, which, the poorest counties in the state are surround us. So we're not going to be the Athens, because all of a sudden you've got the Athens Copperheads. That's not what we wanted. So Southern Ohio Copperheads, and it's proved to be, I think, just a really wise decision. People come from all over southeastern Ohio to the games, and I'm very pleased with that.
The Copperheads have held a strong relationship with their fans since the very beginning. They are always holding events such as letting kids throughout the first pitch, let the whole team be named after you, holding Fan of the Year contests, and various other events all throughout the summer. They even build personal relationships with families, and one family in particular has grown very close with the Copperheads since their very first year. Joe Ellen Sharrow has many stories to tell about the Copperheads and their love for their fans and community, and especially her and her husband.
The Copperheads were so amazing for him as an organization. He was incredibly disabled, and it became almost impossible for us to get to the games. And we couldn't get back to the car once, and they drove us back. And then they started picking us up in the car park and driving us into the park. Now they do it all the time, pick up people in the parking lot who might have a little extra trouble walking or need a little extra help. But he had oxygen, and we had all the stuff we had to take with us to get to the games. They always put an electrical cord out of the broadcast booth so I could hook up his oxygen. And so we didn't have to leave if he was running low on his battery. And they were they were just so kind and so impressive as an organization, so community-centered. It was really good. Athens County has very few truly affordable family activities available. And this is such an amazing experience, and they make it a real ballpark experience. When we couldn't go to Major League Baseball anymore because it was just too hard. Attending the Copperheads, now I know some of the other teams don't have the venue we have or the support of the community that the Copperheads have, but it's a lot like attending a minor league baseball game. They make it a lot like attending a minor league baseball game, and it's incredibly affordable for a family to be able to come and enjoy. It just makes such a difference in the community.
Without the work of the various people affiliated with the university, the sponsors, coaches from all over, and the community that came together to create this team, Southeastern Ohio would be deprived of the chance to see some amazing baseball players and miss out on some great memories. This team holds a legacy to those around them and will for many years to come. The Copperheads alumni is full of thousands of people, from baseball players to former coaches, former sports administration students that worked throughout their summer with them, to the journalism students that broadcasted the games, to the former general managers and the founders, and every single person that has helped make the Copperhead world go round. And you know what they say, once a Copperhead, always a Copperhead.